Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to That's a Shoot, the weekly episode show. We'll talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, and a few things that happened this week that we should really talk about. Just one yesterday, the announcement of the WWE and TNA's future partnership, which is totally amazing. We will talk about that. But first, let's go all the way back to Monday and the debut of Penta. And I have some thoughts on it. All right, so Monday Night Raw, we had, and it was right off the rip. We had the promo segment with Punk and Rollins and McIntyre all declaring for the Royal Rumble, and afterwards we went directly into the Chad Gable match, but he was going to wrestle the best luchador you could find, and as Michael Cole said, it was the worst kept secret. It was Penta, and he appeared and it was happy. There was folks crying in the front row. I didn't realize. It didn't catch on me at first because I was just thinking maybe it was just a fan who was really excited to see Penta Jr. Penta in the WWE, but it was his family crying and things like that. So and I thought it was a great debut. I listened to and I watched the YouTube clip of Jim Cornette talking about this match because and I normally don't do that. I usually wait until the podcast fully comes out, and I listen to it like on the iHeartRadio app. But sometimes there's some things that just happen that you want to hear what Jim has to say, and I wanted to hear about this one, and I was actually was kind of shocked that he didn't give Penta more credit that he really needs to. If you know Jim Cornette, he's not a fan of Penta or Ray Phoenix, Lucha Brothers. He doesn't like them and like things like that because they do have a style where it doesn't seem like that they sell a lot of shit. You know, they don't do a lot of selling. It's just move after move after move. Um, but this match, he was selling. Then Chad Gable started working over the leg, and he was selling the leg. He was wrestling. He did some arm jacks and things like that. He kind of proved to the world that he could do both things at once. And I was like, yeah, that's really I think that's really cool. And I thought that was really awesome that that he was able to do that. Um, honestly, he really shocked me because I was expecting more of the lucha style, more of the breakneck pace type of stuff, but yes, this is a Chad Gable match, but he held his own. And when he was getting ready to do moves, when Chad Gable was working the leg, he would slap the leg to kind of say, come on, brother," and that's what it was. And I thought it was amazing, and I thought that I thought this was amazing. I thought his promo afterwards was amazing as too, speaking in English. I've never heard the guy speak. So I don't know if he could speak English, or if he knew some words, but anything. But he, he spoke English pretty good. He did it in some stuff in Spanish as well. To me, this was an A1 debut. This was one of the best debuts in WWE history. And if this continues on, Penta is going to be a star. And I hope he continues this. And I know some people have used the term that Penta is nerfed because of this, but I would say Penta is now a wrestler. he is now a wrestler because that's what WWE is going to do. They're going to make you wrestle and wrestle by, and that's the way it should be. There shouldn't be really any of these other things. And speaking of Jim Cornette, he talked about it. The first Netflix show, and this is one of the things I understand and I get, and I guess I just want to do that in this new era, in this not new era, but in this evolved version of pro wrestling. I guess it's just one of the things that you have to take, but you have to deal with, and that's when Seth Rollins goes to the top rope and hits a superplex, and then gets up to go for a Falcon Arrow. But when he picked up CM Punk was able to pick up Rollins and then hit a GTS. And but you can't do that. You just been superplex. Because the psychology is that superplex is such a devastating move from the top rope, even, that both guys should not be able to just get back up. Rollins shouldn't just be able to roll through and then do a Falcon Arrow or anything like that. That's the kind of psychology of that. And I understand it, but I think those are one of those things that you have to kind of just deal with, unfortunately, in this new era. But we didn't see that from Penta when we normally do. So I thought it was great, and I can't wait to see him again. I hope this continues on for Penta. Great start, and great promo, and I think he'll be one of the big Latin stars for them. And then when his brother comes over, now. Actually, his brother may be the worst. He may be the one, but if Penta can do it, I think his brother can do it as well. So, good start for me for Penta. But big news this week was the WWE TNA partnership. Let's talk about that. All right, so I was out yesterday doing some stuff, family stuff, and I looked to check Twitter. And I saw WWE and TNA. I looked, what? And I looked, and then I saw that a whole bunch of people were talking about WWE and TNA announcing a multi-year partnership. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. This is from WWE.com. I'm going to read it. WWE TNA Wrestling announced multi-year partnership. WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands and a subsidiary of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities within WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars. The agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact, and select WWE premium live events and TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development and exposure to world-class talent and culture. Quote, this historic relationship demonstrates that collaboration and competition do not have to be mutually exclusive, said Ariel Sherner, Senior Vice President of Content and Distribution for TNA Wrestling and Anthem Sports Entertainment. Our partnership allows the TNA Wrestling brand and its incredible athletes to reach a significantly wider audience, while giving WWE and NXT stars an opportunity to cross the line and gain valuable experience as they join forces with one of the most talented rosters in professional wrestling today. The response to our collaboration over the past year has been tremendous, and both companies have benefited, but the fans have reaped the greatest rewards from this talent crossover and working relationship. Unquote. Another quote. We look forward to growing and evolving our partnership with TNA Wrestling and its outstanding group of athletes by creating new opportunities to further the development of our talent and to elevate the viewer experience at home, said WWE Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative Shawn Michaels. Former TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace and Joe Hendry frequently appeared on NXT programming in 2024, highlighted by an NXT Championship match featuring Hendry and Ethan Page at No Mercy, and an NXT Women's Championship match featuring Grace and Roxanne Perez at Battleground. Many NXT superstars also crossed the line into TNA Wrestling, including Wes Lee's short-lived reunion with the Rascals, Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch Crew, Riley Osborne, Dante Chen, Gallus, Ariana Grace, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dane, Wendy Chu, Brinley Reese, and more. TNA Impact airs on Access TV and TNA Plus in the U.S., additionally to being distributed internationally on TNA Plus and leading broadcast platforms including Sportsnet 360 across Canada. In November 2023, the WWE and CW announced a 5-year agreement to bring NXT broadcast to television for the first time in its 13-year history. So that was from WWE.com. So, what does this mean? Well, I was already thinking that we were going to get Joe Hendry on the Royal Rumble. But this could mean much, much more. This could mean that not only the likes of Joe Hendry, but people like Moose. There was always the people. I don't know if Moose is still there. I think he's still in TNA. TNA is not a product that I watch. I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched TNA since it was on Spike TV, and that was, such a long time ago. But now this partnership means that there's going to be more places for more to get more time, because talking about some of those people, they don't get the time. Now, Shawn Michaels has done a great job. And Triple H did when he was running NXT as well. And it was on the USA, and they were getting 2 hours. They did a great job of putting the people on each week that needed to be on that week, but also giving people some other opportunities to, do just put something on in a backstage segment or in a match, something like that. And now with this TNA stuff, they can also go out and be on TNA. And the same thing, the TNA people can be on NXT. This is going to be some great stuff. Some great people working with some great stuff. People who have probably wanted to be on WWE, maybe didn't, and things like that. And I think what this also does now is that this also now brings in the people who were released by WWE and who are now in TNA, and then now they come back to WWE, and they're like this. Nick Nemeth is the TNA World Champion. He was Dolph Ziggler in WWE. They kind of did it already before. They talked about the NXT World Championship between Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez. Ash by Elegance, who was also known as Dana Brooke, she appeared during that match, so we could see her. How about Top Dollar, aka AJ Francis, who was like the TNA Digital Media Champion for a while? Could you see him getting back, coming back on NXT, especially when his guy Shante the Adonis is out there trying to, he's out there hooking up with Carmen Petrovic, which, by the way, Ashante, I know it isn't. You couldn't choose. You wasn't going to lose. Choosing between Nikita Lyons or Carmen Petrovic. You wasn't going to lose, my brother. So you won either way. So we got that, and there's others as well. The Hardy Boys. What if we hit the Royal Rumble and it's counting down 3, 2, 1, and we hear that Hardy Boys music, which by the way is just generic music apparently, because they played it in AEW and they were in AEW, and it's one of the Hardys, Jeff and Matt coming back. I think this also opens up big time stuff for Jeff and Matt to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, probably. Because they don't have any, with the induction of Rey Mysterio and others, you don't have to be retired now. You don't have to be retired now to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, at least in Triple H era. You don't have to be. So, that could happen. So, man, Jeff could definitely do that thing and be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And yeah, this opens up so many other possibilities that's great. I think you're gonna get surprises. We could very much get a TNA Think about this: a TNA championship match at WrestleMania between whether it's between two TNA wrestlers or a TNA and WWE wrestler, that could be amazing. So this is fun. So also now let's also talk about the elephant in the room that comes from this, right? The partnership with TNA. Will this ever lead to a WWE and AEW partnership? Well, you can never say never. But I think for that to happen, two things will have to happen for a WWE TNA partnership. One, I think the biggest one, Tony Khan would either have to be stepped down as the leader of AEW, or he would have to significantly apologize for a lot of the shit that he has said over these past 5 years. And he said a lot of stuff when he had for some reason he had the backing of the fans, and the fans were behind AEW and everything like that, and he felt that he could take pot shots, and he can, and he can say whatever he wanted to say about WWE or Vince McMahon or whoever. He could take these little shots at the WWE. But now, since people have caught on to his bullshit and caught on to AEW's suckiness as a wrestling brand, and it is not the hot thing that it was, his shit's down in the dumps now. And couldn't he right now use a partnership with WWE? Couldn't he use that? Couldn't he use a partnership with anybody? I think there was some talk that the partnership between AEW and TNA went sour because they just took and didn't give. They really didn't give with this TNA. And while I fully admit it, it doesn't feel like the WWE gave to TNA, but as you just heard there from like the senior vice president, I guess it has, and TNA has benefited from the NXT people coming over to TNA. So there's that, and I think the second thing that needs to happen, I think for a WWE AEW partnership is that I think they really have to reconcile the fact that they're not competing with WWE. Now, even though in this thing, the senior vice president of TNA and Anthem Sports Entertainment says that this horrid relationship demonstrates that collaboration and competition do not have to be mutually exclusive. Now, even though he says that, I would think many people would tell you that there's no way in hell that TNA thinks they are competition to WWE. They're more competition with AEW than they are WWE. And once TNA figured out that is what they are, they're not competition with WWE. It became more easier for WWE to acknowledge them and to work with them. And it started long before that as well. It started long before last year. If you remember, Mickie James was the TNA Knockout Champion in 2022. She was in the Women's Royal Rumble. She used her TNA theme, Hardcore Country, and She went out there with the TNA Knockouts championship around her waist. They, for some of their documentaries and some of their, behind the scenes stuff, they started using stuff from TNA. There's a three. I forget what they call their little show. They used to do it at WrestleMania. It was like, it started with three because it was usually three wrestlers, or sitting around a table talking about this stuff. And I think it was AJ Styles, I think it was Kurt Angle, and I think it was somebody else. All guys who had been in TNA wrestling, and they were sitting down. They were talking about their time in TNA wrestling and in Impact Wrestling. And they couldn't, and AJ was like, I'm again surprised that we could even talk about this. But it was even starting back then because Impact had realized they were not competition with WWE, and they kind of acknowledged that. And when they acknowledged that WWE was starting to be okay with acknowledging them. And I think that's the same thing as AEW. When the AEW starts to acknowledge the fact that they are not competition with the WWE, then I think we give a chance for a working relationship. Now, with that also being said, WWE has to stop doing that shit as well, because, when Seth Rollins goes out there and says, tell CM Punk that you went to the competition, yeah, okay, you don't want to say AEW on air, but they're not competition. Don't say that. Don't come out and say that they are competition. Because then that puts in the minds of them and the minds of fans that they are when they're not. WWE's competition is like Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, which kicks their ass each and every year. So maybe I should even put the NFL, because the NFL is king. The NFL is king. So like Major League Baseball and the NBA and the Marvel and Disney and things like that. That's their competition. It's not TNA. It's not AEW. I think if AEW ever can put aside their ego, Tony Khan again, and acknowledge that, you may see a working relationship with AEW and WWE. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great time for wrestling fans. 2025 is going to be an amazing year, I think, and I think this partnership is going to continue to grow and grow. And I can't wait for it. I think it starts at the Royal Rumble with either the number 1 or number 2 entry being "Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry." Alright, guys, there you have it. My thoughts on Pentagon Jr.'s or Penta's. I'm going to probably go back and forth on that when I'm talking about him, Pentagon Jr., Penta, whatever. I'm talking about his debut on Raw this Monday, and of course the amazing WWE TNA partnership that was announced yesterday. Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think about these two things. How do you guys feel about them? Are you excited for the Penta debut to see what Penta can do? Are you excited for the new WWE TNA partnership? What can come from this? Let me know down in the comment section. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy AJTRIP signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.